Rodgers, so he should be back pretty soon.
Mike T, if I said Dak will be the highest paid quarterback this offseason, is that fact or fiction?
It better be fiction. He should not be over $50 million a year. You look at that sort of real estate of Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Stay below there, Dak. You want to keep CeeDee Lamb. You want to keep Micah Parsons. You want to be able to spread the wealth. So that should definitely be fiction from a Cowboy perspective.
Since we're talking Cowboys, did you guys hear what Emmitt Smith said there at the Super Bowl? Take a look at this. He said, quote, talking about his former team, nobody wants to fight no more. Nobody wants to fight hard anymore. They want to say, oh, we're the Cowboys. Tell me how good I am. Check out my Instagram posts. See me on my podcast. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm everything without doing anything. And everybody's patting them on the back. People want to give them so much without doing nothing. And what they're living off of is what happened in the past, not what's going on and going down right now. Sounds like that's a little subtle shot there, Michael Parsons.
Keeping it Rizzo, man.
Okay, Part.
Real subtle.
Yeah, you're right about that. He basically said it without mentioning his name.
These OGs are getting fed up, right? Like, to quote the great Willie Beeman, Steaming Willie Beeman, don't let my success go to your head. And that's what's going to these younger players. They're riding off the success of the 90s Dallas Cowboys, that dynasty that they had, right? And they haven't proven anything, right? And they're riding.
Kind of hard to disagree
wear the
with
stars
that.
is a very special thing. We talk about, one of the most successful brands there is in all of sports. And, they get everything, accolades. Everything is multiplied when you do something in the Dallas Cowboys uniform, but they haven't delivered. They not only have they not delivered, they have underwhelmed. They have fallen short time after time after time. It is just not unique to this iteration of this team. It goes all the way back to the Tony Romo days. They always fall up short. And to me, if it's not the players, because the players are different, it's the culture and the environment in which they live in, and they're too comfortable over there, and somebody needs to make them uncomfortable. I don't think the Cowboys and that building has been uncomfortable since Bill Parcells
was in there. And
they came up short.
And I was going to say, is it a leadership problem? Is it a culture problem?
It's a culture problem. They get to go to the cushy, like, let's go to California for camp. Man, they need to be out there like the Junction Boys, right? They need to be out there in that Dallas heat dealing with.
Wichita Falls, where we used to be out there.
Yeah, they need to toughen up, man. It's too cushy over there. They're in the suburbs. You got to do like Apollo Creed did to Rocky and take them to the hood.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, Brian, when you listen to Emmett, it's the whole notion of when you're a champion, you walk into a room for the rest of your life as a Dallas Cowboy champion. You look at Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, they've made a career off of that, which they totally deserve. And I think what the essence of what Emmitt Smith is trying to say is, like, be a champion first and then all the spoils. Like, you go around New York City,
go.
Derek Jeter, Eli Manning, Phil Parcells, Tom Coughlin, Lawrence Taylor, they're champions forever. It changes the narrative. And I think what he's just saying is, like, let's earn it first before we start going out to Bart's point about the brand versus the actual accomplishment.
What do you think, Asst?
You've been to the Star in Frisco?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to get
Pretty
comfortable
nice.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to their training camp out there in Southern California. Pretty sweet.
Oxnard.
Yeah. Look, I think as disappointing as it is for college-age me to listen to Emmitt Smith entering his grumpy old man phase, I do think that there's something to be said for a lack of, like, I don't know who the leaders are in that locker room, right? Like, who is the accountability guy? Who are the people that are gonna hold your feet to the fire when you're not doing your job? I think they have good players, and I think they have guys that understand that role. But I don't know that they have, for lack of a better word, mean guys, right? That aren't afraid to hurt your feelings. And I do think there's something to be said for that.
It's not me. It's about having uncomfortable conversations.
Right.
It's about putting others first. And going back to Dak's contract, that's a great place to start. Be a little selfless. Leave something on the table for others, because they have a great nucleus, but they do have to be a little bit more uncomfortable to get to where they want to go.
So you talk about if you're going to leave something on the table here, because if you want to help and bring in some guys here to help you win, should he want out of Dallas, considering he looks at his teammate's brother, his teammate's mama talking about him on Facebook, talking about him.
But it's warranted, though. Like, he's had the opportunity.
No, it's not.
To me, it's warranted. Like, listen,
Shut up.
We're judged in this league off wins and losses. and how you show up in the big moments. Nobody cares about what you do in the regular season. You say it all the time. You make the name in the regular.
All right, that's where we're going to stop. What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. You know, I was agreeing with them to a point until Bart Scott basically said, yeah, he deserves to be trashed by the family members. Well, you know, some of those family members need to look at their siblings and trash them as well, too, okay? You know, it's the same thing. And Emmitt Smith is 100% right that you guys, if it wasn't, just imagine here for a second, okay? What if the Dallas Cowboys were, say, I don't know, let's say who? The Arizona Cardinals. Let's say you were the Arizona Cardinals, okay? And didn't have those rings. Would they still be them boys? Would people still follow them like crazy? You know, would everybody be talking about them the same way? I don't think that they would. Let me say shout out to the lovely ladies in the place with the style and grace, because there's Lady Libra in the house. Joanne Gonzalez is in the house. What's up, Joanne? We got Lola, Miss Hot Sauce. I still can't figure out how to get that thing set up in here on the road. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lola. I'm not going to give you the regular one. There's lovely Linda, our resident Eagle lady with more knowledge than any other Eagle fan that I know. There's Crystal Caramel Corn. What's up, Crystal? There's Gina Dallas Diva, of course. Hazel Brooks, what's up, Hazel? How you doing? There's Alan Williams, Brian B in the house, Joe DeMasi, Roland's Review. What's up, Stacy? How you doing tonight? Did I miss anybody up in here? There's Game Time, Brian. Game Time. I should have sent you a link in here. I got tied up with that thing that I was telling you about. They are not in the facility in Oxnard. The hotel is not new. Yeah, I don't know what the hotels are kind of like garden hotel rooms and stuff in there. I don't know how great the room and the facilities are there. The practice facilities, they're 2 football fields, 2 grass fields. The weather is nice. I don't know what they've put up, because I haven't been into where they're actually doing the medical and the training, if there's a weight room or whatever. But then again, it is Camp Cupcake, and the Cowboys don't work like they used to. Georgia Gentleman, what's going on? EB2288, MVP. Well, Mike has had, it's been an interesting couple of days. I think... let's go back to yesterday, and I don't want to denigrate, and I hope that's the right term. Denigrate or disparage Micah Parsons, because Micah Parsons is one of those people that everybody is tugging at him from every which direction. Everybody wants a piece of him. Okay. I get that, and at some point, you just don't want to be left alone. I mean, the problem is you are Joe the fan. You live and die and breathe the Dallas Cowboys, maybe from afar. You may not see famous people that often. You idolize these people and things, and we put them up on a pedestal. And we forget that, even George Clooney, his shit stinks too. He goes and takes a dump, and he's got a fart. We don't think about that. We don't think about the people having feelings and people being tired or feeling down or just don't feel like being bothered. Whoa! Well, damn, Linda. Lovely Linda. Oh, This has got to be a record. Shout out to Linda with the monstrous Super chat. Great content all season, Mark. Love the camaraderie between me and Philly 500. Dallas has great structure still, their team and the Eagles. Looking forward to next season when we see the dust settles. Linda, shout out to you because, I appreciate it because, Linda, we are on different sides of the fence, just like, with Philly 500 and me. But I love the banter. When we lose, I don't enjoy it, but I get it because if you're going to walk the walk, you got to talk the talk. And you can't just be a fair weather fan. In fact, if you're a Cowboy fan, you can't be just a fair weather fan because there's a lot of bad weather. Because of Jerry Jones, there's a lot of bad weather. Appreciate that. Oh, that's a damn entertainment drop. You ain't lying about that one. We need another freak like Micah. Thank you. But going back to Micah, so he's in the airport and he said there's a crowd of 8 people. 8 people's not that much. I'm just saying. If it had been like, the whole airport, okay, and then he said, oh, well, this woman and this child followed me. I'll be honest with you. I am stalkerish, okay? My wife will tell you, I remember being at the NFL commissioner's party, and I literally stalked Emmitt Smith, okay? Because it wasn't so much that, I wanted to stalk him. At first, I was like, I'm scared. I don't want to go up. I don't want to bother him and things. So it's great that one of the people who purchased one of the jerseys that made you one of the highest, the number one jersey seller last year, wants your autograph. So that guy that spent that $150 right there that helped make you number one is honoring you because he bought that jersey and he would love to get your autograph on it. And at some point, what happens to a lot of guys, and I've learned this, a lot of famous people out there that were famous, that they don't remember who they were. Now, I don't know if that'll end up being Micah Parsons nowadays because of the podcast and social media and things like that, where they're making a mark outside of the football field. But I'm sorry, it's hard. That one's a hard one for me to say, oh, man, those people were wrong to want to get his autograph. I get it. You get tired. But that's not a good look. It would have been better if it would have been one of those ones like, look, if you just said, hey, I'm not right now. I'm busy trying to catch my flight. You come to an autograph signing show. That would have been one thing. But don't put it on social media where you literally trash the people and have their picture. They wanted to meet you. That would have been, huge. On social media, they would have said, I met Micah Parsons. He signed my jersey, man. He's going to be holding a picture of you and literally spreading the love of meeting you, a person that is his hero. It's like meeting Superman. And instead of you saying, I don't have, man, I don't have time. I'm not bothered. I'm off duty. You went beyond that and literally trashed the people for wanting your autograph. Sorry. I kind of have a problem with that one. I kind of have a problem with that one. But hey, I'm a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll, and I don't get bothered like that. So I guess I don't understand. But I would love for Micah to he's got his podcast to explain it to us. That's all I'm asking for. All right, so the Cowboys have gotten down to work. Other Micah Parsons news. Okay, this is where everybody's like, yay, Micah, way to go. Micah Parsons, who is too busy to, give back to the fans there, is playing celebrity NBA basketball with Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith, trying to do a crossover and practicing with Micah Parsons, ended up leaving his ankle behind. And went to the hospital and has a brace on it. So, I know everybody, Cowboy fans, are sad that Stephen A. Smith got hurt. But this is where, you can't be mad at Stephen A. Smith because here's the thing. He's figured out how to get under our skin and make money at doing it. Don't hate the messenger. What you need to do is hate the game. And the game is made by Jerry Jones. See, we all get mad at Dak Prescott because, see, right now, you know, I love this. I'm glad that they're starting this out already. So when Joe Burrow got paid, was about to get paid, I don't recall hearing anybody say he needed to leave money on the table for other guys. You know, I don't recall hearing Justin Herbert, a guy who has yet to win a playoff game, when he got paid, them say he needs to leave money on the table for other guys. I don't recall Jalen Hurts, when he got paid, them saying he needed to leave money on the table for other guys. Now, I'm going to say, if the Cowboys were out there spending money trying to bring people in, you know, doing like the Eagles or doing like the 49ers or doing like the New Orleans Saints or doing like Tampa Bay's, doing like every franchise in the NFL and trying to bring in good help. And they said, you know, they just didn't have the money to do it. I'd say, you know, and Dak was just, I'm just eating everything. I would say, yeah, you're right. But correct me if I'm wrong. In the last 14 years, who they brought in? Who are the big moves? How many big moves have they made? Brandon Carr, Greg Hardy, the trade for Amari Cooper. I don't know, do we look at it and say Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks, are those considered big ones? For most teams, those are like everyday type dealings. So don't give me this, they're out there trying to do things, but Dak Prescott is holding them back with his contract. If they were trying to do stuff, you could say that, I don't know, Michael Gallup's holding them back. You could say, you know, Jalen Smith was holding them back from being able to spend money. You could say Zeke Elliott was holding them back from spending money. You could say those were, but I don't know that 17, 19, and 26 million over the last 3 years, and then before that, those first 4 years when he was under $2 million every year. Why didn't we build a monster of a team those 4 years? You know what, Brian, are you new here, Brian? I don't remember seeing you here before, Brian. You know what?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
You must be new here, bro. Let me welcome you in here. Bam! How about that one, bro? Put you in timeout. Don't come in here and just say Dak Prescott throws picks in the playoffs, because nothing's really further than the truth. He was one of the least intercepted players. And mind you, Dak only played in one playoff game. But guess what? Guess what, jackass? Don't play with me, first of all. Would you believe, through the totality of the season, including all the playoff games, that Dak Prescott still has more touchdown passes than anybody else? Did you know that? Because I know Dak Prescott, man, he sucked at playing linebacker. He sucked on the defensive line. He sucked on the offensive line. He sucked in the running game. He just sucked all the way. Dak Prescott sucked at every position on the field. Come on, man. That team, there's so many. I tell you what, in the hierarchy, yes, Dak Prescott's got to play better in the playoffs. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I will 100% agree with you. But he ain't alone, bro. He ain't alone. When you get your star wide receiver who's out there talking about getting paid, I don't hear anybody saying CeeDee Lamb should understand he should take a team-friendly deal and leave something on the table for others. Did you hear that? I didn't hear that. I did not hear that because he's already out there saying, I want to be one of, if not the highest paid. Why ain't anybody saying anything about CeeDee Lamb? Did Dak Prescott come out in the first 2 passes, drop him in the playoffs? Did he? Did he, punk? I'm asking for a friend. He said he is Mr. and all he does is throw his interceptions. I know. Listen, I'm sick and tired of everybody. Wait a minute. Here's what I want you to understand. And I don't say this to denigrate Marquise Bell because Marquise Bell played pretty good for a linebacker. That's 205 pounds, guys. 205 pounds. Your number one wide receiver is dropping balls and checking out. You know what? I don't have a problem with dropping balls. But you know what? In football, you need to have a short freaking memory. You do. Hey, I messed up. Screw that. Let me go fix it. You can't make it worse. Let me see if I can throw it. Acerbate it. My wife's not here to make sure I said the right word correctly. Acerbate the problem. Huh? Acerbate. I said it right? Okay, well, close enough. You can't make it worse by, first of all, dropping 2 passes and then checking out. No, you can't have that. You can't have a franchise tag running back who gets 50 yards in the playoffs. And you can't expect one guy to make up for his receiver who's number one by over 1,000 yards on your team, who's dropping the ball and checking out. Your offensive line that's given up 39 sacks on the season, that's been changing around all over the place. Your running game, which really isn't there, where you literally are 27th in the NFL in the goal line situations, in the fives. I get it. Dak makes some mistakes, but bro, you can't look and just say, it's just that guy. Pat Mahomes, believe it or not, just like I said, that famous people, that shit stinks too. Yes. Pat Mahomes will blow up a bathroom. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. But you know what's funny is, Pat Mahomes, do you think we have a defense like the Kansas City Chiefs had? Do you honestly believe? Because I'm sitting here recalling their game against Baltimore, going against the league MVP, that they took the ball away 3 times at crucial spots on the 20-yard line where they got an easy touchdown. When they were about to go in and score, they took the ball away there. Then an interception in the end zone, preventing them from winning. If those defenders don't make those plays, Kansas City is not in the Super Bowl, no matter how good Pat Mahomes was. If their defense hadn't forced the 49ers to a field goal and stopped them there, they might not win that Super Bowl. See, that's the problem. You guys keep thinking that Pat Mahomes is winning those Super Bowls by himself. Now, I get it. You got to have a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl. But it's not only the quarterback. Can we honestly look and say our defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense the way they played in the playoffs? The problem is, and I'm part of the problem. Cowboys 1st and 10 is part of the problem. Law Nation is part of the problem. We're all part of the problem. Because what happens is we start playing pretty good against lesser teams and we bully them and we just blow. Oh my God! Did you see how precision we were? How great we were, and we ignore the problems that we know have been right there. Help me, Rhonda. Got to make sure we take care of Rhonda. Don't want to upset Rhonda, Lovely Sparks. Rhonda, when's your husband gonna get that cooking channel going? Cause I'm hungry. All right. But what we have to understand is we have some good players, some really good players, top tier in the NFL players. But the problem with us is we get the skill guys. Well, and I hate to say that because they say skill guys are running backs and wide receivers. And if you've ever actually played on the offensive line, there's a lot of skill into stopping a rushing bull. I hate to tell you that. I hate to tell you that. When they're doing like an X stunt in front of you, there's a lot of skill involved in being able to work your feet and your hands and your body and get in position. There's skill to that. You can't just say, oh, well, he's a fat guy, so he's an offensive lineman, he'll be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. Hey, Mark, don't wake mama up. Somebody check on Angelica Barron. It's probably about time for some more puppies again. She might be up late with puppies. So here's where I actually am beginning. I don't want to. Oh, James Snyder. Shout out to James. Got a new phone this week. I got my I got my Samsung S24, which is AI. It's always telling me to do shit. I'm getting kind of scared that it's going to rise up and it's going to, zap me in the ear one time when I'm talking on or something. So I only use the speakerphone. I don't let it get too close. Mark Boot, because it's market. Dak and his agent have Jerry by his nuts. Yeah. And you know what? Here's the thing. All right. This is not how I wanted to go with this tonight. Forgive me, I'm a little congested. This is not how I wanted this program to go tonight. But I'm going to ask you, because by the criteria that you have for Dak Prescott, there is a quarterback out there that will meet your bill. But he is Pat Mahomes. That is about the only person that, at least for a moment, that Cowboy fans would be happy with, because your criteria is winning the playoffs. Well, how did Josh Allen do in the playoffs this year? He went to one AFC championship game when their team was stacked. But you can look at it and say they've been failing every year with him having talent and him supposedly being a great quarterback. So Josh Allen, with all the turnovers, oh my God, we killed Dak. We killed Dak for 1 year of turnovers. That mother humper, I believe, has more turnovers over the last 5 years than anybody else. They say draft a quarterback. Oh, we need to move up and draft a quarterback in the first round. 2021, let's take that for example. Let's see, who were the quarterbacks that were drafted there? We had Trevor Lawrence was number one. Not Sam Darnold. Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was the number 2 player drafted in 21, quarterback. And then you had Trey Lance. That San Francisco traded 3 number 1s and something else to get up there. Okay? Oh, but see, clouds. Don't start that. I saw Brock Purdy get to a Super Bowl. I saw Hurts. And guess what they had there? Clouds. You know what both of those teams did? Take a look at what they did to help the team. Because when Jalen Hurts went to the Super Bowl, and I'm going to ask you if we've ever done this with Dak, they said, you know what? We don't know if Jalen Hurts is that guy. And you have to look at Jalen Hurts right now and say, Jalen Hurts, is he really that good from what he did this year and the other years? when they went all in and they went out and said, let's get him another great receiver to go with Devontae Smith, they went and got A.J. Brown. He has one of the best tight ends in there. He has one of the best offensive line. They provided him with a great rushing attack. They didn't ask him to throw 36 touchdowns and win every game by himself. You don't look at Jalen Hurts and say they won because of Jalen Hurts that Super Bowl year. Right or wrong? Offensive line is pounding. It's great. You got 3 guys that can really catch the football. You've got several running backs that can run the football. We can all look at it and say those things were not equal. They had a better running game, better offensive line, and better collection of receivers. And look, hold it. Let's go back here. Let's go. You guys piss me off. They had Dallas Goedert. We had Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot as rookies. They had A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I don't know who their other receiver was, but we had CeeDee Lamb before he blew up, Noah Brown, and a gimpy Michael Gallup. Their offensive line. Look at their offensive line. We had Tyron Smith out most of the season. This is not this past year. This is the year before, their Super Bowl year. We had Tyron Smith out with his hamstring ripping off the bone. Okay? We had Jason Peters at 40 having to start when he could, and they literally had to have him on an oxygen mask. We lost Terrence Steele halfway through that season. We had Zach Martin, and we had a rookie and Tyler Smith at an offensive line. We had Tony Pollard, who was good in third down, and a Zeke Elliott, who is averaging 3.7 yards a carry. That's the offense that we had that Super Bowl year of the Eagles versus what the Eagles had. You can't look at that and say, well, Jalen Hurts carried that. Jalen Hurts didn't carry that team. Jalen Hurts was carried by that team. And you can't look at Brock Purdy and say what Brock Purdy had on that offense is the same tools that Dak Prescott had. Are you serious? Skittle Kittle? Brandon Ayuk on his own almost had as much as CeeDee Lamb. And then you got Deebo Samuels. Oh, and not to mention Christian McCaffrey. Bro, wake up. Wake up. And don't give me this thing that, well, you know, Dak could have done it. Take a look at San Francisco's defense, bro. We're sitting here arguing about that Micah Parsons is selfish because he's not playing elite in 2 positions. Well, he's taking the easy way out, being an edge rusher, even though he's like literally giving up 70 pounds on the edge. He's taking it easy. He's coasting. You know, those 14 sacks that he gets every year, that anybody could do that. From a Mr. I got 226 yards in receiving in the NFL. He should be playing linebacker too. Come on, man. We had a 205-pound linebacker, guys. 205-pound linebacker. Could not stop any kind of run. You don't go to Super Bowls with a 205-pound linebacker. You don't go to Super Bowls with a non-existent running game. You don't go to Super Bowls with your number 1 wide receiver dropping the ball and checking out. You don't. Sorry. If it was just about the quarterback, then Aaron freaking Rodgers would win the Super Bowl every year. But here's the thing. You can go get Justin Herbert if you wanted to and put him in here. He ain't going to the Super Bowl with this team as constructed. Neither is Josh Allen. Neither is Deshaun Watson. Neither is Russell Wilson. Neither is if you went out and got C.J. Stroud. Even if you moved up in the draft and brought somebody in here. Until you deal with the other issues with this team, the shortcomings, and mainly because Jerry Jones will not go out in free agency, you are not going to win. You are doing Jerry Jones's business when you deflect from him and point at the quarterback. It's just that garbage quarterback, because the real issue starts up there. It starts up there in the ivory palace up there. When he decides, you know what, you know, we don't need a linebacker. We'll just take a safety and put him in there. You know, it used to be, well, you know, we don't really need a defense tackle. We got Tyrone Crawford there. Tyrone Crawford was about 260 pounds, playing defensive tackle. When you need somebody like a Lyle Joseph, you need a big fat guy that the only thing he knows how to do is play tackle. You go out and get rid of a Zeke Elliott and say, you know what, Tony Pollard can run between the tackles, when he's not a run between the tackles guy. Come on, man. Come on. Stop looking at Dak Prescott. Because you know what? If it weren't for Dak Prescott and Tony Romo, trust me, we'd be the Jets. We would be the frickin' Jets every year. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if you guys don't see it, sorry, you're too stupid to see that. He is keeping this team relevant. But until you say, we're going to get him some support, you're not going to do it. San Francisco, what did they do? You see what they do? They go out and get Hargrave to add on their defensive front. Biggest free agent last year, Hargrave. They tried Chase Young, Randy Gregory, when they already had Greenlaw and crew there, already having Nick Bosa, Armstead. They keep building and adding. The running game. They didn't say, we'll get rid of a running back and we'll go through and we'll just go ahead and get, we'll draft a undersized running back who's related to one of our people. They went and got Christian McCaffrey. If we were doing stuff like that and then we failed to get there, I would say, yeah, you're right. The quarterback sucks. Casey Stewart, what's up, Casey? How you doing? See, now y'all got me pissed off. Marcus Blackman, Dak needs a running game because Purdy is cheap. Well, guess what, It Clouds Coffee? We had Dak like that too. We had Dak like that 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019, bro. And what did they do? What did they? I'm telling you. I'm asking for a friend. Seriously. They had Dak Prescott for $680,000 each year for 3 years, and the fourth year had him for $2 million, and they did nothing. Nothing. Nada. Zero. Zilch. Zingo. Nothing. I'm not lying on here. You can't look and say, Tampa Bay went out and they got Tom Brady, they got Gronk, they got Sue, among other players. They said, we're going all in. We're going to stack the deck. You can look at the Rams. They went out and got Jalen Ramsey, they got Matthew Stafford, they got Odell, they got Von Miller. They stacked the deck. I mean, I can just go through and just say, just look at the talent that they're putting in. That talent right there is better than most of the talent that we already have on our team in general. The Eagles, they go out and they get player after player after player to try and help their quarterback and help the team get over the hump. 49ers did the same thing. We see the teams that are making it there are teams, A, that can run the football and are balanced, B, that can stop the run, C, that are stacked in just about every position. It just is, guys. It's the facts. I don't know if you just don't want to face facts, or you're blind, or you're late. I don't know what it is, but you can't look at this and say that the defense. If you look at this from the years we won the Super Bowl, are you telling me that Troy Aikman won that Super Bowls by himself? All-time leading rusher in the NFL. Hall of Fame tackle. Hall of Fame wide receiver. Hall of Fame defensive end. Hall of Fame coach. Do you see any of that? Oh, of course, Hall of Fame quarterback. Do you see any of that on the Cowboys in comparison? Do you see a number one defense like the Cowboys had? Or go back to even Roger Staubach. Tony Dorsett? Does that name ring a bell? Drew Pearson. Roger Staubach? Doomsday defense. Those quarterbacks did not win it by themselves. So, now that we've gone through and we've been fighting, now you're Jim Laws. I'm hankering for some biscuits, some buttermilk biscuits. Mark, honest question. Why does Dak look so nervous before the game started and the player said he panics in the playoffs? Well, I can say that everybody on that team, can you, Clouds, let me ask you this. Who on that team didn't look like they were nervous and panicked in the playoffs? Micah Parsons has been in 4 playoff games, got 1 sack. DeMarcus Lawrence has been in 7 playoff games. He's got 2 sacks. CeeDee Lamb has been in 4 playoff games, got 1 touchdown. Zeke Elliott was in 6 playoff games with the Cowboys, has 2 touchdowns. I don't know what it is, but there ain't nobody that you can look at on the Cowboys when it comes to crunch time in the playoffs that's playing well. You can just say Dak. CD definitely. CD looked like somebody just killed his dog before the game. Dak out. Purdy cared about winning. Dak doesn't. Shh, okay. Fergie. Drew Pearson, Preston Pearson, Golden Riches, those were the days. You're right about that. Probably you taking your crybaby's place. Jake the Snake showed up ready to play. Michael Gallup. Yeah. So here's the bottom line. As much as you guys keep just listen. Sorry. So let me ask a hypothetical question. Let's say the Cowboys just said, you know what? We're just going to cut Dak right now. We're just going to take that salary cap hit. And we end up being a, let's say, you remember in 2015? Do you guys remember 2015? Because we're probably in about the same situation right now. 2015, we actually had a really good offensive line, and we had actually a good running game. And Tony Romo got hurt, and we were 4-12. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember in 2020 when Dak Prescott got hurt and we were 6-10? That's what it's like without having your franchise quarterback, Dak or Romo or whatever. So you would rather us go ahead and say, let's get rid of Dak and let's go 4-12, 6-10? Would you be satisfied then? I'm asking for a friend because that's what you're honestly looking at. If it weren't for the 36 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions that Dak had, which was more than anybody else had throughout with better weapons and running games, you're not in the playoffs last year. I'm not saying I'm satisfied with what we did in the playoffs because I'm not. And that's why I'm trying to hold Jerry accountable. Here's the reality. You don't have draft capital this year. You got a first, a second, a third. No fourth. Maybe you get a 5th with a compensatory pick. Maybe not. You got a 6th and a 7th. Actually, I don't think you have the 7th, which is one of the reasons why we may be just staying for the 2 days for the draft. I don't know if we're going to stay for the 3rd because we won't have a 4th or a 5th round pick. It'll be late in the day before we do anything. And I may want to get out of Detroit alive. You don't have to draft capital to go up to get another quarterback. Yes, you can go ahead and think that Trey Lance is going to be it. But I'm going to say that with the San Francisco 49ers that took a bus driver, yes, I called him a bus driver, in Brock Purdy. Yes, I did. Send me your hate mail. Sorry. Brock Purdy has a perfect situation. Incredible mind that knows how to keep him out of trouble, but not a good enough mind to understand the overtime rules. He had weapons galore and were a matchup nightmare for everybody and had the best running back in football. Sorry. You can't compare what he was doing, say, versus what Justin Herbert was doing over there with his shitty offensive line and so forth. Or, the Jets situation. You just can't, okay? You take Brock Purdy and put him on the Jets, they're still ass. Sorry, they are. Where do we send love mail? There's no address for any love mail. Nobody loves me. Everybody just gives me shit. They can't sit with Rhonda, then they can't sit with us. Uh-oh, what's going on up here? Party looks like a milkman from the 50s. Jim, we have a long off season. Actually, it's not as long as we think it is because we actually have things that are going on. We have, of course, Mike Zimmer was just hired in the official press conference 2 days ago, which was great. And we already have assistant coaches being hired. Now, we still have the passing game coordinator left to go. And I am still, crossing my fingers hoping that we could bring in Steve Wilkes because, to me, that could be one of those moves that's kind of like Charles Haley because he'd have the revenge factor. He'd have the extra knowledge of San Francisco and could probably help us do some damage to those guys. Anybody else with me on that?
Still photos can...
Sorry. Anybody else with me on that? I think that would be the splash that Jerry Jones has been talking about. That would be one that I would love to see happen. So we ended up hiring not one, not two, but 3 coaches today. An Iowa State quarterback and garbage truck driver. Who did they hire? Larry, Moe, and Curly. Come on, man. Emmett telling the truth. 40-year-old Emmett agree lessons. I'm not going to dispute that. I agree 100%. I've said that for years. And I've said the same thing about Cowboy fans that don't know our history as well. But I'll get back to them. So we ended up going to the Commanders and kind of taking one of their guys. We ended up hiring Jeff Zagoda. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But he has played in the NFL for 17 years. Defensive line coach, well-respected. And one thing you can say about the Commanders, and there's not a lot of good things you can say about the Commanders, is their defensive front was always really, really good. And that may be huge for us. So I'm happy about that. He will be the defensive line coach. And former Dallas player, Greg Ellis. Greg Ellis was incredible player. He's going to end up being our assistant defensive line coach. In his career, 84 sacks, not too shabby, 22 forced fumbles, 400 solo tackles in 176 games. So that's a guy right there that he is not going to get tired, okay? He's played defensive end. He played outside linebacker. He played most of his career with the Dallas Cowboys. The last year was with the Raiders, but definitely was an ultimate beast and a great player. And that's another type of player that hopefully can instill some discipline with these guys, some desire, and a lack of needing nap time. I'm excited about that because, see, what we're looking at here with the Cowboys, the moves that they've made have all been moves thus far to help try and stop the run. Now, that's one thing to hire guys to help stop the run. It's another thing to get the right defensive linemen. Me and Game Time Brian are going to get together and try and figure out which ones of our guys that we actually need. Because with Mike Zimmer has what we used to term a 40. Okay, see, terminology changed from back in my day, okay? We used to call it a 40 defense, which was basically a four-man front. You'd have 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, and you'd have the 3 linebackers. A 50 defense back in my day was you had 3 defensive linemen and then 2 outside linebackers, okay? So typically what you want to have is you want to have bigger interior defensive linemen. And this is the problem for the Cowboys. And this is where I was going through, and I was actually saving these notes for when I'm meeting with Brian. Here's the fundamental flaw on the Cowboys defense. You can only do so much. You can only bring in so many players, and you can only pay so many people. The Cowboys have always liked length. And by length, I mean, I'm not talking about, that's what she said. She's looking for length. They've always liked taller guys. One of the reasons why they didn't want T.J. Watt was they didn't think he was tall enough. And that's why they went for Taco. In the end, the only question you really need to ask is, can the guy play? But if you look at our defense, every guy, I was actually amazed. The biggest guy we had on our defense was Hankins, 6'2", 320. Mozzie Smith was 6'3" and 337 when he was drafted. But by the end of the year, they had him under 300. I don't know what the plan is for him. They keep trying to talk about, he's doing all kinds of stuff and that this offseason is going to be huge. Hopefully it will be. But you have guys like Golston, edge rusher. He's 6'5" and 268. To put that in perspective here, guys, I'm 268 right now, and I'm 5'10". If you stretch me out, now I'm not gonna say I'm big. I'm not gonna say I'm sloppy fat. I got some weight around the middle. I'll be the first one to tell you that. And a lot of y'all just see my butt hanging out. It's an old man butt. There ain't a whole lot of ass that's actually in there. I got some belly, but I ain't that big when you think about me being an interior defensive lineman. If you stretch me out 7 inches, I look good. I ain't gonna lie, I'd look good. Golson is 6'5", 268. So take me and stretch me out 7 inches. Pause. Dante Fowler, 6'3", 261. The Canadian Bulldozer, 6'2", 302. Micah, 6'3", 245. D-Law, 6'3", 265. Osa and Digozua, your defensive tackle, 6'2", 280. Sam Williams is actually one of the bigger ones, 6'4", 261. And so, thank you, Rhonda. So my point here is this. All of these guys are svelte. They can move real quick. And if you are going to be pass rushing, that's what this whole defense was made for. Marquise Bell is linebacker. He can cover. He can cover the receivers at 205. But when you get offensive linemen that are 310, 320, 330 pounds, and they're putting their fingers in the ground, and you see the whites of their knuckle, and they're just going to try and plow you over, bro, you got a 280-pound defensive tackle? He ain't, and a linebacker that's 205? Sorry, I don't blame the players. They don't have the tools. 280-pound defensive tackle can't drop the anchor that's 6'2". You need fire hydrants, guys that might not be as tall as you like, that are compacted, low to the ground, big-boned, thick, that can move. And this is the philosophy that was the problem. Now, that would have worked if you had really good linebackers, if you had a thumper linebacker. And that's where I had the crazy idea of this evening. I was talking with Game Time Brian about it. Since the Cowboys are into converting players into different positions, taking Marquise Bell, a safety, and making him into a linebacker, I would love to see them try and do that with Sam Williams. Because Sam Williams, and this is where, hear me out. Sam Williams is fast. A 4.46 40 for a guy that's 6'4", 260, that's that fast. He's played a lot of special teams, which means he has to maneuver at full speed going down the field. He just makes boneheaded mistakes and gets penalties. If you can teach him, and I don't know, it's a mentality. It's a big shift. We took Randy White, believe it or not. I don't know if any of you guys knew this, but Randy White was originally a linebacker. Did your mind just, but he sucked. And they said, we're going to put you on the defensive line. And became the master. Jeff Lee, 5'5", 130. I'm short, but I've got a big heart. Damn, Jeff. Jeff, if you take two of you and put them together, that's what I have to carry around. Damn. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Bradley Martin is 260, though. Big what? No thump. I'm back. Welcome back, Lola. Twiz Digga, I've seen your okay passing routes. I've seen inaccurate hurts. Kellen will have flashes, but that's it. Yeah. Move Osa to defensive end. Well, the thing is, we've got so many. Okay, but here's the problem, though. Mr. Kima, you can move him over to defensive end. He might not be a bad one. But who's playing tackle then? It's kind of like when they said, oh, well, Micah needs to play linebacker. Okay, then who's your impact defensive end? Didn't think about that, right? Please let Zimmer bring out the dogs and the guys. More than anything else, that's one of the biggest keys right there is, we as a team, we get down so quickly. We get just so defeated, as soon as the one thing happens, it's over. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. My Cowboys family, what's up? How are you doing, man? I don't understand how we just go in a cocoon. It's the first sign of, CeeDee Lamb, the 2-drop, and then Dak, he's like, I got to get CD involved. Now I'm forcing the ball to him and things. Tony Pollard is not running the ball. Offensive line is just like shit in the bed and not, holding up blocks and things. I just don't understand. The defense can't stop anybody in the run game and literally just looks like they're half-stepping. When I look at other teams that look like they are fighting for their lives, I don't see that fighting the Cowboys. And that's where Emmett's right. They don't have a fight. They're living off of, and I think a lot of times because they get shown so much love that they get chased down at the airport and asked for autographs, and you have podcasts that you talk to everybody about, and that they want you on the shows and everything. And I'm not trying to just take Zeke Elliott, but even Dak Prescott and every damn commercial and ad that's out there. That at some point, everybody's always got a microphone in your face and talking about the Cowboys and everything else and the Cowboys' mystique. At some point, you start believing all of this hype and everything else, and you figure we are these gods and hadn't had to earn it or had to fight to get that recognition. that when you do get punched in the face, you don't know how to react because you ain't been hungry. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm liking at least some of the things I've heard. I don't want to be completely negative all the time because I have been since the season ended, and I don't want to not be. I want to keep up the pressure because the thing is we forget that right now, think about it. Every year we go through this feeling and we say our team sucks. We can't do anything. And then we go through free agency. We do nothing to make our team better. And then we go through the draft. And then by the end of training camp, everybody's, we're going to Super Bowl. How do you think we're going from the Super Bowl without doing anything to change what happened the following year? And that's where we need to keep the pressure on Steven and Jerry Jones and make them accountable and stop blaming the players when they're not bringing the players in that can help them perform. That's my take. Help the O-line. We got to help the O-line. We got to help the D-line. We got to help the running backs. We got to get more linebackers. But even Damone Clark, did I put him on here? Let's. Damone Clark is 6'3", 240. That's not awful. That's great for a weak side linebacker. But you can't have that for a middle backer. And that's the thing. When you are light, when your defense is giving up, your defensive line is giving up about 500 pounds to the offensive line, you got problems, bro. You got real problems. Dallas fans, honestly, what record do y'all see having this season? Mouse, that depends on what the Cowboys do in free agency. I think they'll still be competing for the division title because the Eagles got problems. Eagles actually have money problems too with some of their contracts. But here's the problem with Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner should have been 2 years ago, Timothy. He should have been 2 years ago. That's the thing that Jerry Jones always does is we get named players, Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoys and Emerson Griffins, but we get them after they're done and spent. We don't go for guys that are in their prime that, yes, you have to pay them quite a bit to be here, but there's a reason why you have to pay them quite a bit to be here. It's because they're good players. They're young. They stay healthy. When you bring in a Clinton Ha-Ha Dix, you bring in Dontari Poe, Emerson Griffin. I want you to think about this, guys. This was 2020. Clinton Ha-Ha Dix, Emerson Griffin, Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe. Not one of those guys that you brought in 2020 made it on the team the next year. I think Dontari Poe made it through the season. Gerald McCoy gets injured. Clinton Ha-Ha Dix gets cut. Oh, I'll put in George Iloka. They brought him in too that same year. That's the kind of guys that you're bringing in. Dontari Poe was too fat. Now, I always keep saying I want a big fat guy. He was just sloppy fat and just there to get a check. You can't think that bringing in that collection of guys that are all old and headed to the retirement home, that's going to win you a Super Bowl. Come on, man. Wake up. Wake up. Rhonda Lovely, he was so overrated. Eric Willis. Dontari Poe was a disaster. Sounds like auctioneers for donations. My Cowboys fan. Okay. Some can be said about Cooks and Gully. Not that they're washed, but yeah, again, Calvin, I have to agree with you on that one. Stephon Gilmore, see, in the way that the thing is, they sell you on, former defensive MVP. Yeah, he was. Woohoo! Help me, Rhonda. Gifted a membership. And Rhonda, I got that tailgate membership is heading out for you too. There we go, Rhonda. Boom. Add you to the hopper. We'll do some drawings on Monday. You can't expect the Cowboys to compete with the other teams when they're bringing in Christian McCaffreys, when they're bringing in, Chase Youngs, when they're bringing Hargraves, and you're bringing in Dontari Poe, Emerson Griffin, Clinton Dixis. Sorry, those things aren't equal, people. All right, good people. Can you keep my dad in your prayers, please? Oh, my goodness. That we certainly will, Gina. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he's going to be okay. Definitely keep him in our prayers. Thank you, Rhonda. That was very kind. All right, good people. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm a little tired because I'm old, because that's what happens when you get old. I'm going to get ready to carry my ass to bed. God willing, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I got to do my fireside chat. I need to wet down the walls a little bit more so I can do some more plastering tomorrow. I got something, guys. Oh, snap. We're here on the cutting edge at Jobu Sports, right? So, I got to show you this. I took the sunglass one out of it, so I just got the regular glass ones. They look like safety glasses, or if the sunglass screen's in here, it looks like I've got Terminator glasses on it. But this thing here is actually a camera right there in the front of it that is video stabilized, 4K, and it's a video camera that is Wi-Fi enabled. So when I'm doing work here at the house, I can be showing you exactly what I'm doing. Or like when we go to the draft and things, and I can pan around. I don't have to hold my cell phone and stuff like that, that you can see what we are doing wherever we are. So I'm still learning on how to use this mother humper, but we are continually trying to be the cutting edge. I'm not that bright. I'm definitely not good looking. I'm old and I'm grouchy. But Joanne Gonzalez, what's up, JoJo? But I'm definitely continuing to work and bring you as much coverage, much coverage and news on the Dallas Cowboys. I am not that good, but I work my ass off. And as always, I appreciate you guys.
Disrespected yet? Does this defense have any heart?
No. They suck. I've been telling you all season, Philly.
Shit on you. They've shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Slide. They shit on you. They've shit on you. They have shit on you. Don't you hear me? Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Slide. They shit on you. Kill them.